I think the free money trade here is to be levered long. I think you can make a lot of money right now.
Billionaire investor Chamath Palihapitiya just forecasted what's about to happen next in markets, how you can gain an edge investing into 2026 based on the data.
And what this starts to show you is you have trillions and trillions of dollars of dry powder on the sidelines that will need to find a home.
And for perspective, Chamath is not a guru. He's not correct on everything, but he is the same guy who told you to buy Bitcoin back in January of 2020. The price per coin was around $7,000. Did you listen?
When you see the amount of leverage the financial industry is running, and you think about all these dislocations and all these exogenous things that are happening that you can't predict, there's a lot of risk to the downside. And it would be great that an average individual citizen of any country in the world has an uncorrelated hedge. And I've said this repeatedly ad nauseum on this show. Every financial instrument is correlated.
But Buffett,
it's all fake, except Bitcoin,
Chamath,
which is fundamentally.
By the way, subscribers of Altcoin Daily did listen. I made this video back in 2018. People called me crazy, but if you bought, you changed your life.
All right. Should I buy Bitcoin? And I get it. You know, it's easy to think that because Bitcoin rallied up to 20K, that it's not going to do that again, you know. Yeah, you probably say to yourself, hey, I wish I got in at 1K. But the thing is, that's what everybody thinks. In a year or two from now, people are going to think back to, hey, I wish I would have got Bitcoin at 6K. Or in a couple of years from now, people are going to say, I wish I would have got Bitcoin at 20K.
And now in this latest update, what Chamath just forecasted for end of 2025 might shock you.
The first chart I want to show you is the velocity of money.
But it is worth revisiting the Bitcoin price prediction he made in the middle of 2024, about a year ago, right after the Bitcoin halving.
You should really look at the pattern of Bitcoin after a halving. So here's a little Bitcoin price analysis for you guys.
So this is what he predicted about a year ago, where price could be by October of 2025.
18 months after the first halving, the Bitcoin price returned 45x. After the second halving, it returned almost 28x. And after this third halving, it returned almost an 8x. Which is really incredible returns in such a short period of time. If you go to the next page. And so if you graph that, this is what it starts to show, which is what is this price performance after each of these halving cycles. Now, why is that interesting? Well, it's interesting because on top of this halving, which theoretically, if history is a guide, we should see some price appreciation. Obviously, the other thing that's happened is we've commercialized Bitcoin. And we talked about this sort of as my big prediction for 2024, which is these ETFs are really going to allow Bitcoin to cross the chasm and have its sort of central key moment, right? And so if you apply the averages, and again, these are just averages, they're by no means predictions. Okay, so I just want to qualify that.
Yeah,
this
is not financial advice.
It's not financial advice. These are just guesses. Data. We took these and we applied it to the price of Bitcoin. And if you go to the next page, you start to see what could happen if you just take the average of the last few cycles, so because the first cycle was so extreme, and you start to...
so you're just doing cycle 2 and 3 here, to be clear.
Just the averages of cycle 2 and 3, and what you start to see is some really meaningful appreciation.
So Chamath looked at all the data, and just for fun, using that data, forecasted that based on the data, one BTC could reach over $500,000 per coin by October of 2025.
Could indicate is that if this thing starts to get to these levels of appreciation, it is going to completely replace gold and start to become something that has transactional utility for hard assets. And I think if you marry that with this worry that some folks have about dollar debasement, you start to see some really interesting opportunities.
So point is, he's a believer. He's a long-term believer. And yes, he sold some Bitcoin in the past. He has taken profits.
Oh, honestly, you know what I think about? I actually think about all the Bitcoin I sold.
But understanding all that, looking forward towards the rest of 2025, what is his forecast for the next 6 months.
I think the free money trade here is to be levered long. I think you can make a lot of money right now. Why is that? The first chart I want to show you is the velocity of money. So what is this? This is the M2 money supply. It's a measure of how much money is circulating in the economy. What this shows is the impact of rates, where we were able to start to slow down and contract the money supply. But then as you saw, as the economy stabilized and people started to project what's possible in 18 to 24 months, you started to see money coming back into the system. That's what has given a bid to the equity markets. That's great because a percentage of this capital gets allocated into things that can generate a superior return to money markets. And that's where the bid to the equity market came from. So you would say, well, where does it go from here? The next chart, Nick, if you just give the second one, is look at how much money, and again, you can just look at the last 5 years, look at how much money is sitting in money market funds. And what this starts to show you is you have trillions and trillions of dollars of dry powder on the sidelines that will need to find a home. I think that Jerome Powell is in an increasingly untenuous situation because he will be looked at as politicizing the office of the Federal Reserve. There is enough data that can justify cutting rates. If you cut rates, and we've talked about this before, two things will happen. Number one is people will take some amount of money out of the money market funds because they will want to go and seek superior returns somewhere else. It will increase the velocity of money at the same time. You put those two things together, that is a bid to the equity markets. And so if we're at an all-time high today with rates at 4.5% and Powell is back against the wall to cut, the only road from here is probably up.
And there's about 30 days until the next FOMC, Federal Reserve meeting. Right now, the market is pricing in an over 80% chance that Jerome Powell does not cut. He holds. Now there's 2 months until the next meeting, and we skip a month. So if he does not cut this next month, we're going to have to wait till the fall. And in the fall, in the September meeting, the market is pricing in a 25 basis point rate cut, a 75% chance. When that happens, or really before that happens, because markets are forward-looking, meaning don't invest on what you think markets will do today. People invest based on what they think markets will do 6 months from now. Most people, you do you. But point is, there is money on the sidelines like never before, around 7.4 trillion now sitting in money market funds, an all-time high. This is not apathy. This is patience. As the interest rate goes down, that will incentivize some of that money, little by little, as rates come down, to look for better money appreciation, money-making opportunities. All while the current global M2 money supply, meaning not just the United States, but globally, the money supply keeps increasing. It's already going up because other countries for the last year now, year little plus, have already started cutting and easing. Anyone really think this Bitcoin rally is over? Global M2 money supply just hit new highs, and Bitcoin hasn't even caught up. Anybody that is looking to long or short or trade the market at your own risk, the exchange I use is Bitunix because it has better liquidity, and sign up now with referral code Altcoin Daily and get up to $8,000 in USDT money bonus. Link down below. And like always, see you tomorrow.